last week's winner, Marco. So, what do you want to talk about, Marco?
I just had a couple of quick comments. Number one, I listened to the whole broadcast last week. I actually thoroughly enjoyed all the commentary. There were some things you said, I'm like, oh, please let him say that. I couldn't have scripted some of it myself. It was awesome. So that's number one. Number two, you're right. I had no quality hands in the first 4 levels. I did not have one group hand or one group 2 hand the whole time. But I came out chip leader. That's tournament poker to me.
Yes, you did.
A cash game is a cash game. That's a little tournament poker. So a win to me means everything. A 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th place means nothing. So I went aggressive, and it paid off. So that was number 2. And number 3, Chris, the funniest thing you said the whole night is Marco's questioning his own action when I didn't know if I verbally committed some chips out of turn or not. But, it's all in good fun. You guys do a great job back here, and I can't wait to take it down again tonight.
Thank you. Good luck.
Are you going to have the same strategy tonight?
No, actually, I'm going to mix it up a little bit tonight.
Mix it up?
I might, early on, you might see the same kind of strategy in the first level, and then there might be a big gear shift, and hopefully it goes unnoticed. We know Corey will notice, but most people hopefully won't, and I can tighten up a little bit and knock 3 or 4 people out before I can. Because I need another, my goal is first or second the next 4 weeks. See if I can't finish in the top of the pack.
You're currently sitting in 7th, and you are only 29 points behind first place.
So anything can happen, guys.
So good luck.
Thanks. All right. Keep blasting me back here. I love it.
Wow. With our current point standings, we have Robert Newman in 9th with 100. We have Max Hennis in 8th place with 133 points. Marco Urbanek is in 7th place with 135 points. Paul Moskowitz in 6th place with 130. Ed Wergler also with 138 points.
You got Mark Putrafello in 4th place with 153. Suited Dan in 3rd place with 154. Corey in 2nd place with 157, and Bobby Miller in 1st with 164.
It's a tight point race going into Game 9, Season 3 of Chasing Reason.
It's anybody's race. Some of these people at the bottom can pull out some wins here, they can jump around.
Absolutely. Bobby had an 8th place finish last week. It hurt him a lot. Only giving him 12 points, so it kind of opens up for a lot of people.
They still static out there?
Mark was waiting. Yeah. Well, he wanted me to heads up. Like, we kept playing. Oh, I was up there when they played. Yeah, they played. They were waiting like $15, and everybody's falling. $10,000. I got this. Actually, I think I only have the. Let's just catch up.
All right, it looks like all of our players have taken their seats. We are about to get started. This is game number 9 of season number 4, Chase the Bracelet. And no substitutes, and we have our full broadcast crew. So looks like it's going to be a great game. We have points that are a couple people vying for top place here tonight. Is a big game for them. We'll get it started. Train, shuffle up, and deal.
It's going to be interesting to see, Paul, if anybody comes firing out like Marco did, if they rewatched the replay and saw the variety of hands that Marco was playing last week.
I was just going to say the same thing. See if any of the point leaders might not play quite so tight against him.
Well, I'd like to see if anyone else adopts that same strategy.
Well,
and just
yeah,
tries
that
to
too.
play a lot of hands, see a lot of flops, and just kind of see where they get. Like, a lot of people last week seemed afraid to make calls.
Mark, Robert, Max in this hand. No raises.
Nobody wanted to make the big mistake last time.
I thought he had like a tumor on his
Top two here.
Action on Max. 150 bet by Max.
Max leads out with bottom pair. Let's see what Mark does. There's a straight draw and a flush draw out here. Expect him to raise.
Call by Mark.
Just a call.
Robert calls.
Rob calls with the ace 3. And now Rob's got the nut flush draw.
Mark checks.
And queens and tens give Mark the best hand.
Mark shows the winning hand.
That's not true.
A little tight here.
Watch the tape. Stay with checks.
The check on the flop really had to slow him down because the flush draw got there and then the pair of queens.
Mark would act first.
Mark under the gun here.
I just read something in a book about under the gun. You have to have better hands or something.
No, it's backwards. It's backwards. When you're on the button, softer hands.
It was the Abercrombie.
This position you can play any cards.
According to training, when you're next to the dealer, you have to have softer hands. Soft.
Wow.
Soft.
Nobody with much of anything this hand. Marco with an ace high.
Marco folds the ace high.
Mark calls.
I think it's completely against his strategy he was talking about.
Maybe that was too strong a hand. Wants to get it in with a lot worse.
Max calls.
Sounds like something he would do.
Marco checks his option.
Already blew it in the first 2 minutes.
That's what she said.
Is Dan in there?
No.
Okay, his cards are still up.
3 players.
That's my new thing. That's what she said.
That did the magic.
Max, queen high, still the best hand.
And now Corey hits a 6.
I think any bet here is definitely going to push Corey off the pot, though.
Mark bets 100.
Hey, you stay with Corey.
And you were right.
Mark to act first.
I've been saying that. I said that kind of stuff all day yesterday.
Did you make him write his
Rolling
check
around
or
naked
take
in
it
a
back?
bag.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Oh, that's what I was doing yesterday. He was rolling around
So who are the
naked.
meat and the bad guys?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know the one dude. I call him Leatherface.
Donut Bob.
Donut Bob.
Can't be as Leatherface as Stinky John.
Do I know who that
He was he was the one who got
Talking
me.
about the sign?
I know Donut Bob. He's the one who's low.
Suited Dan with ace 4, lets it go.
Marco with 5-9 suited.
I think this might be.
That's exactly how he's
He's in the big
I think he
Our
said
first
that.
walk of the night. It's gonna happen early.
Corey's got the 3-4 of hearts. He may give the
Push
wall.
all in and make them sit.
Everyone sit down.
What did you tell me?
With Marco talking about it, he gives it.
95. Woo!
And we're like, what?
Marco doesn't have to bluff at that hand. I have a feeling he wanted to.
Thank you. What are they saying in the booth? I know, I can't believe Marco played a 9-5 for a walk. Oh my god.
I think they're saying that might be the last smart thing you do, Russ.
That is true.
Yeah.
It did sound.
Ed to act
Bob, what
first.
was that beat?
I would have loved to be in that.
What was the hand?
I think you might have to get the supervisor over here.
I would have sweated. I wouldn't even say that.
Suited Dan with a queen 9, Ed with a jack queen.
Looked at the board, with my hand, like looked at the board.
They both slapped the set.
Like,
and
what
came
can beat
back.
me? Like, what can beat me? What? And then,
Ed raises to 125.
Somebody flopped
Ed
the
raises
quad.
under the gun with the queen jack of diamonds. Let's see what suited does.
Bob, did somebody flop the quad and then it came
This
right
is a hand he would.
Suited Dan calls 125.
How was the action?
I didn't watch. I was talking to somebody and I just turned around and saw the river. I saw the end of it. I turned around and there's a sack of bills.
That's how he rolls. I turn around and cough, and then there's a stick.
I turn around, I cough, and money falls out of my head.
Heads up.
Your old boss is standing there crying.
Paul, did you tell him what I said when you texted me?
I forget.
How do you forget?
Just check, check.
Paul texted me on I was on my way home and he texted me telling me.
Ed with a straight draw.
Horseshoe and whites his ass.
Yeah. I forgot.
Ed bets 250.
Nothing here suited Dan can call with. The players are currently talking about Bobby Miller being part of the bad beat at the Horseshoe Casino. Bobby, lucky enough to sit at the table, the bad beat was hit on.
We're gonna get another bad beat tonight.
I can't wait.
The state record
And
bad
then we're gonna let Dan do his
263,000.
Somewhere around there.
You're between Paul and Dan, of course you're getting a bad beat.
Suited Dan to act first.
Fulfilling my Justin Bieber fantasy.
Corey with an ace-king.
Ace-king suited, Ed with an ace-8 and a big blind.
Oh, great.
You don't even want to talk about the things you just
Paul calls 50.
Paul trying to sneak in with an ace-jack. Let's see if Corey raises him.
fungus and toes, and it was all over the place. Yeah, it was.
Corey raises to 175.
First time I ever lost a big chicken in my life.
See what Ed does with the ace-8 here.
I know.
They kind of hand it, just gets
I like that shit.
It's so early in the tournament, though, that 175
Ed calls.
just doesn't really hurt a lot of
Well.
these stacks.
but it,
No, absolutely, in the
Paul
long
calls.
run it will. But seeing a call here or there just isn't too terrible.
Good, man.
It makes me wonder how he won last night.
and Paul makes it
Definitely wouldn't buy that.
I wasn't talking
How did he say it was 125?
It was.
He said it's 125 to you.
How much you wrote? 125.
Paul was second pair.
That's what she
Corey
said.
with top pair, top kicker.
Paul is the 25 out. What am I buying? No, you were 125.
Corey bets 450.
The bet is 450, but it will be 432 to you, Paul.
Paul lets it go without even thinking.
He knows he's not good there with only the 10. Someone else, though, may have played that a little bit
Yeah.
differently.
Corey doesn't fool around too much early.
Bobby to act first.
You know what they call it? Those green chips? Second Robbie stack.
Rob with kings.
Seems like one of those stand-up all-in hands for
Oh,
Rob.
wait a minute. It's Jack King now.
Jack King now, Max with ace-king of clubs.
That was weird.
225.
That was weird, Paul.
Robert raises to 225. Call by Max.
Yeah, it's red. Heads up.
King on the flop could spell disaster here.
Yes, it could. Rob's not one to. Oh, Rob with the dead shot draw. Let's see what he does. And Max looking pained.
I believe Rob made a bet there.
Don't cry.
That's 550.
550 bet.
No, I think we're.
I think Max needs to raise here. Where he's at in the point standing, he
Max calls.
check.
Both players check.
Check pet.
Robert checking very quickly.
I'm not doing anything.
I think
I
that
had
should
set
let
for heads up.
Max know that there's a good chance he has the best hand here.
I'll go turn that off.
I took care of it, Tim.
He was like, pain in his face was about.
About how to extract the most money out of Rob.
Was that like
just
check
Or
freeze?
good technique, or? No.
No, there's no way he had a heart.
Alright, let's all make bets, and then we'll watch the next, we'll watch the next. Let's all bet $5.
I can't wait to see your stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know what, just, we don't even have to wait a week, they'll tell us on the break.
God, what do I do? Call. Oh, my heart.
That's coming.
And then at the end of the
Max with kings. Dan with a king and Corey with a king. Max cannot improve.
Are you sure that's right?
I'm gonna do whatever Mark does tonight. Oh wait, I'm first back.
And he doesn't need
But
that.
I'm anticipating.
And get to walk with second best grade.
Well, we're still at 25.
That's our poker. I'm saying, no, I'm anticipating everything we do.
Suited Dan, very quiet today.
We're in Hollywood today, guys.
All I know is that I play slow.
Bobby with ace king.
I slow play sometimes.
I thought
Small blind. Let's see if anybody tries to.
See if Marco tries to steal a
You
hand.
gotta watch out for royal flushes.
Playing very, very slowly today.
That's what you want with watch.
Rami and I.
We went to the Racino, it was pretty nice. It's nice.
Raise to 150, calls.
Was that a snap call?
Paul in the big blind.
Bobby and Paul, heads up.
There were no math problems.
And Paul flops bottom pair.
Action
Let's see
on
what
Bobby
he does
first.
if Bobby bets, which I'm pretty sure he will.
Would it be awesome if Bobby got
I think
150
Paul
bet.
freaking
Call
Bobby
by
out here.
Moskowitz.
And Paul snap calls him. Almost beats him in the pot.
Bobby
Bobby checks.
It's a new side of Paul Moskowitz here.
Hopefully.
Moskowitz bets 300.
I hope you had a hand that you wanted to get so much value. I mean,
Paul bets with bottom pair, takes the pot down. Definitely throws Bobby off his game a little bit today.
I was gonna fire again.
Who plays ace king on the small blind?
I don't think Bobby's betting again there once he gets called to Paul, no matter what he says.
I'd like to make you think he was.
Who's the quack guy? I was created.
Max stack first.
You could have bluffed me there.
Read every line in the book. He
You could have bluffed me. I'll let you know.
made me a better player. Oh my god.
Alright, Marco's got ace 10 now. Let's see.
Ed with his 6-8 suited. Suited Dan with suited connectors. Seems to be some of his favorite hands.
150.
That is the guy that owns the Stratosphere or something like that.
Yeah, what's his name? No, that's,
Marco made it 150 now.
Paul, I think his name is Paul. Paul, yeah.
Suited Dan calls 150.
Dan, don't make it personal.
Bobby with queen
So
10.
it's a call by suited Dan against Marcos.
Re-raise, 450.
And a re-raise by Bobby Miller.
I think Bobby's going to be playing back at
326.
might even be a little bit of a squeeze
Marco
play
folds.
here once Dan said, oh, wow. Marco lays down
Dan
the ace
calling in
See
bad
Dan calls.
position.
Then first.
and flops 2 pair.
See what he does, yeah.
Bobby bets 500.
I'm going to say if suited slow Joe plays this and
Both players check.
himself, he's just going to be.
Sudan bets 775. Bobby folds. First act will be Corey.
Not too much going on.
Call
there.
with a 9-jack suited.
Action on Ed. Moskowitz raises to 150.
Oh, raising his button.
Takes it down.
We got Caleb calling station.
All mixing it up early. I like that.
You can see that Marco's drinking from the tiki cup.
Final table.
Very superstitious of it last season, and this season it seems to be working for him as of last week.
And he picks up ace queen here. Bobby with a queen 10 suited.
Give me 10 versus ace-jack.
Heart's very cheap though.
Raise 150. So much
Default edit.
sitting for 7. Dude, I spent the whole day there. And then playing it all night. I spent it up, 12 hours, 18 hours, 18 hours. I got steers.
With a Z.
Good, I thought I was going to catch it.
Bobby flops a flush
Two
draw.
players. Lines are going up. But the thing was though, like, before we went on break at 8 o'clock, I was down at 25 shit, and it's 13K starting stack. And then I was on the blind.
What's the call?
Oh, dude. Like, when we went down to 3 tables, I just started rocking hands. And then I get the final table and I'm crushed. And it's just like the exact opposite. And everyone's blind too. Blind was like, just looking really bad in the other.
Oh, really? I didn't even know you could do that.
Tony, yeah, the entire system seems to be frozen. Tony, the entire computer system seems to be everybody's pot so small. That's why they got a bet. I mean, 500. Oh, at least not the pot. Right. You climb it. Stop. Is everyone's phone on? Mine's in the room. It reset now. It just reset, Tony.
It's coming back. It's just gotta get it.
It had a gas bulb.
Yeah, I tried to start closing stuff once because you could see it was choppy, so I tried to close Photoshop and everything just
go.
went away. We're good now.
I usually see that.
Everything's still recording.
You did.
Pause.
There's
Stop.
voices that are so
I
really
think
quiet.
see that.
Chris, will you tell them to turn up your volume on in there? The commentators. No, the commentators.
You know, the people talking in the booth, rates for 300.
We have Ed with an ace jack.
Touche. 300.
We don't get that very often.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
That guy's got a really good hand.
Wow, that's loud.
How's that, PJ?
That's great.
Somebody just folded ace queen.
We have Mark with pocket jacks.
That's much better.
I think it was mine that I folded.
Ed with ace jack.
And Max sneaking in there with a suited 4-5. I think Marco's the one trying to sneak in.
And flops 2 pair, but
Max,
Max
with
flops.
the straight flush draw, gut shot straight flush draw.
This could be interesting.
See Max very focused. Just hoping somebody counts money.
1,000 bet by Mark Cruciffello.
Robert oblivious to the action. Definitely not worried about figuring out what somebody has or doesn't have.
Marco all in.
Marco's going to be the first to the room. Unless
Possible.
he
Marco
gets
definitely
lucky.
has some outs.
Yeah, unless he gets real lucky here.
Mark lets it go.
Mark folds.
Marco with 2 7s.
I think Max is going to fold. How can you fold this hand against Marco? Where you are in point position.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Do you really put him on a 9-10 here?
Yeah. There's one hand that can beat you, and it's Marco.
Well,
He's going to fold.
He could have a 5-9.
He's going to fold.
Max disgusted here. Wants Robert to see his hand.
Yeah, that's usually a telltale sign that you're folding.
Max calls.
Max
he
makes the
does
call.
make the call.
Straight with the.
He's got the straight.
Bobby has no idea what Max is thinking.
I didn't either.
Marco looking for a 7 and a 7 only.
Diamonds. 3 of hearts.
That really
3 diamonds and the 3 of hearts.
The diamond really
Marco.
changed nothing in the hand. Marco needed the 7.
Marco
Like Max takes that down.
might be our first one eliminated here. I believe he has a little bit left though.
I don't know why, but that 3 of hearts didn't read either.
3 of hearts on the
Where's that?
river.
3 of hearts on the river.
Marco is in fact eliminated today.
I think Chris did something in there.
I think that's a new record for this year. Fastest out.
You call, I'm like, that was a good fold. There's probably ace being taken out. I got ace queen.
He could have flopped it already. So, you know. You call.
I can't believe that just happened.
Where are we at?
I'm raising backside every pot.
I just.
Marco was big blind, so the button's good.
He thinks about folding bottom straight.
It's like a strong mark.
Because Marco was talking about being priced in.
What else? If you play that hand, what do you?
Rob with a jack king
I thought I had like Jack 8 or.
You said there was no way you were going to play?
Probably not.
Corey with the only real other playable hand, and I don't see him
I had no
involved
problem
yet.
that you thought about.
I had a huge problem.
No, there are playable hands and then there are playable Corey hands. Corey and Paul Moskowitz have a very similar game.
Well,
Raised to
early they
350
do.
by Robert.
Corey will open it up the later it gets. Paul won't.
I mean, yeah, ace high. That's the only thing I thought. Did you want to? What? Did you want to go in with the ace high?
Mark let it go.
Like Marco's range. Come on. He's got ace 7. Thank
Bobby wants first seat changer. You guys okay with that? What's that? Bobby,
When he moves here, can I move there?
Yeah, sure. And then when that's done, Paul, you're gonna move ahead and
Bobby with ace-4 suited lets it go.
Here I am again.
And Marco's back.
Oh my God, you guys had to be like, that's it, Marco's out when you saw the flop.
I believe it's
Well,
the first round.
Wasn't expecting you to go all in.
Well,
but-
here was my thinking there. I was going to raise to 3,000. So that's half my chip. So what? It's the same thing you guys say the other time. If I'm going to put in 3,000, what am I going to do then? Fold
Right.
on the turn?
No, I've just.
So I
In
was
this
hoping
case,
they had.
absolutely.
Oh.
Folding on the turn would have been a good idea after you committed 3,000 on the flop. But hindsight is 10-10. But you felt like you flopped the best hand, couldn't put anybody on a 9-10 or a 4-5, and it
Right.
just kind of didn't fall your way.
I just can't believe Max took so long to call.
Oh, we couldn't either.
But that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
I don't think he was slow rolling. I don't know what he was
No,
thinking about, but
I really thought he was going to fold the way he was acting.
Actually,
I
on Matt,
really did.
I would have liked
Bobby, who
that.
folds.
That'd have been
I just didn't see how he possibly could.
no.
With that hand, even if you had the 9-10, he still had outs.
With that
Right.
hand and your
Yeah.
reputation, he definitely has to make that call.
I don't care who. I don't care who he's playing. He's got to call that hand.
Well, not always, but absolutely, I think against you in that spot, he
Right.
has to. Just because there's so many hands you'll do that
Mhm.
with, it doesn't have to be the nuts. And even if, like I said, even if he did have the nuts, he had outs,
Exactly.
and he would have hit too.
Right.
So,
I needed a 6
Checks
or
again.
7. I only had. I don't know
actually,
who
you had a
folded what.
lot less outs than you thought.
Yeah, people folded some of
Yeah.
my cards.
Yeah, you had 2 outs.
It didn't.
200 bet by Ed.
Yeah, you had 7. That was
Suited
it.
fold.
Nice. That's what I get for folding all those weak aces right now.
We were wondering about that because
Yeah.
you said you were going to come out. And
I know.
A little-
But every time I had them, I was early position, so I didn't want to. If I was late position, I might have done something.
Yeah, the one hand I was surprised you folded was the ace-10.
What did they have? Because there was a, there's a call and a re-raise.
Bobby re-raised you with queen-10. And you folded, and then Dan flopped 2 pair.
Okay. It's just there's two people in. I don't want to get trapped with. If I hit an ace, I have no idea where I'm at.
Yeah, I was hoping to see you play a little longer because it looked like Bobby was going to be playing a lot of hands against you. I wanted to see how that went.
Yeah, I really wanted to play. I did not, dang.
Looks like action on
Max
Moskowitz
had
first.
Cards against me.
Yeah, Mark had jacks that hand. He had the overpair.
Yeah, I was hoping they both had, and I was hoping Max had 2 big cards.
Put a black out there. Well, give it to me, Bobby. Does that matter to you?
Yeah. That's actually
The squeeze play doesn't work all the time. Sometimes the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
who just calls is the guy with the monster.
Well, exactly. Yeah, he didn't want to chase anybody out because he had such a big hand.
Right.
Well, we might get a little hand. We got Mark with ace-king suited.
Suited Dan with ace-jack.
And Bobby with jack-king on the button. I mean, on the big line.
Aren't you allowed to rebuy in the first level, Tony?
Player hoping for a rebound.
I think if you ask everybody at the table right
Maybe.
now,
Yeah.
say yes.
Probably say yes. Oh, man.
Mark raised.
What do you
325. Call by suited Dan.
Probably lets the king-jack go pretty easy. I like that fold.
Suited to act first.
See, I just didn't. Oh, boy.
Suited Dan's going to lose a big pot here unless he gets lucky.
Oh, my
500
God.
bet by
I was
Mark
about to get off
Cuccifello.
this chair and have him sit down.
Call by suited Dan.
Suited is...
Ace is up here.
And Mark checks.
Both players check.
Oh,
And a
suited
chop
got
pot.
very, very lucky.
Suited Dan bets 1,000.
See if Mark can
He's
represent
shaking.
a 6 here.
He's shaking his head because he knows he got counter.
Call by
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, suited got very lucky to run around
Button
there.
there? No. No. Are you the button?
Robert to act first this hand.
No. You're welcome.
I pulled a king jack.
Just thought you bet like 2,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You elected?
You're not because I can't raise you there.
Well, the good thing is that pretty much does it for my season, so I can have a lot of fun the next 3 games. And like, I won't put one chip in until one of the leaders puts chips in.
Hey, you're going to chase the leaders now.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well and be like, oh, Bobby, how close are you to Dan, or
We have Corey with a king-queen suited, Rob with
That
an
could be
ace-king.
fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely, that could be fun.
It'll
Max,
definitely change the dynamic of the game.
Max with
I mean,
4s here.
Even if I won the next 3, I don't think.
Robert raised to 370,
Although, how many
350.
people go to the next?
Call by Max.
To season 5
Oh,
automatically.
I think 3 or 4.
3 or 4?
3 or 4, I think.
Heads up.
2 players.
We're down to the ace-king versus the pair here.
I'd like to see an ace-king 4 flop.
Oh,
I'd like to see
that
Max
would be
get a lot
fun.
of chips. No.
700 bet by Robert.
Robert sees a king and bets instantly.
I think Max is going to take
Max
one
calls.
off here. 3.
Fours.
How about a 3?
Alright, he's done.
Jack on the turn.
1500 bet by Robert.
And Max with a complete underpair. Should let it go.
Yeah, I don't think he can make this call.
Max folds.
All right. At
Not-
least
I'm not
he's being
sure.
careful with my chips.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd even have called the flop there, as fast as he bet there.
Seems like Robert saw that king, and the only
Yeah.
thought in his mind was just to put money in it. I'm honestly surprised that Max made the call with the 4s.
He's got a lot of chips now. I think that had a little something to do with it.
And actually, I went down to 10 tilt.
Well, there's some turn cards that can.
Max
make
picks
it.
up queens now.
Going up. 350.
Maybe you get too much static out of those ones. Mm. All right, how's Rob in this hand? I missed that. Oh,
Well,
look at the
this could
flop.
get
Oh, my God.
very interesting here. Rob with the flush draw. Max flops a set of queens. And it goes check,
Perfect.
check.
Perfect. Oh, geez, no.
And Max
Oh.
lets him get there.
I think he was calling it either way.
750.
25.
Raise 25.
Robert, again, without thinking, just pushes the money out there so instantly.
Max with that pained look again. I would love to see him calling a pair on the river.
What was the raise? I mean, what would you do?
220.
What would I
I don't
do?
know what the raise is, so okay,
He
come on.
raised
I would
the-
love to see a pair on the river, pair the board,
At this
pair the
point,
board one
the
time.
flush,
Ah,
Yeah.
the flush is
I hate-
definitely
I hate
represented
seeing
when Robert
People get
instantly
rewarded.
raises.
Yeah, I hate seeing people get rewarded for calling raises with Jack 4.
Well, he didn't actually call a raise. I believe he was in the big blind, and
Max
Max just
limped in?
called.
Battle of the flushes, huh?
Well, then Max played it awful. Then they did.
Robert doubles up.
Yeah.
no.
Marco's chips have now been passed to the right.
You know what? Everybody play with my chips tonight. Who's
Yeah.
gonna get them next? Ed.
So
Max?
Rob went all in on the river and Max called.
I like the delayed see bet.
Hell, Rob second this hand.
Right.
On the board.
See, at least when I make my stupid moves, they're like before the river. You haven't seen me do. Actually, have you seen me make a horrible play on the river after all the cards are out?
Yeah, you were in the hand to begin with.
Okay, good point. Thank you, Chris.
Let's see. Mark,
Wait, I'm supposed to call with the
Call
6-7
with the
there
king,
when
queen.
4 people call before me, right?
A 6-7 offsuit, not so much. However,
I let him go.
everyone's entitled to play their
Raised to 325
All right, I
by
like your
suited Dan.
opinion.
I'm a firm believer
Called by
in
Moskowitz.
playing every hand to the flop in the first round of blinds,
Yeah.
but that's just me.
He'll call anything.
Mm-hmm.
Suited raises with 8-9 off here. Moskowitz calls with king queen.
Mitt Romney style.
That's what it was.
Damn tiki cup.
Raised to 1500 by Mark Cuccifello.
Mark limp re-raises to 1500.
With just an ace-10. Very ballsy play by Mark.
Suited folds.
He figures he can get Paul off the hand. But we'll see.
Yeah, there's no way Paul calls this.
Paul folds.
Rob might call. He might call.
Robert folds.
Yeah, that was the one I was wondering about. You never know what Rob will do.
Well, you might be
raise by
feeling, you know.
Yeah.
1 minute left in the blind.
Poor Max. It sucks to be Max. I mean, I went out, so I guess it sucks
Yeah.
to be more me. But you
Well,
get that many chips early on, and then donk them off to the night 3 hands later. I mean, he did flop a set, but
But yeah, you still gotta let it go though.
yep.
That's the downside to not betting your cards when you get them.
Yeah,
I'm also a firm believer in betting your hand.
Yeah, I did not realize he did not raise the queens. I mean, that's
Playing my cash. At least it was
you gotta protect your hand.
There was a check flop, and he
Yeah.
let himself be beat that.
Moskowitz raises to 300. Robert calls 300.
Rob calls with the ace
I
rag.
mean, if you're going to check the flop there, you want to see if the heart comes out so you can get away with it.
Right.
Get away from it.
Corey calls also.
Paul raised with the 2-3 off.
Corey to act first.
With a beautiful flop like this, Paul can definitely represent the winner.
why would he not bet there if you're gonna raise?
Folds over to Robert. Robert checks.
And now he pairs the 3 and wants to bet.
I think you can still represent a king or queen.
Paul raises. 625.
Rob might take one off for the gut shot draw.
Robert calls.
Rob.
I meant like 400.
Robbie, he loves his gut shot draws. I've never seen anybody call so many.
And Paul with the best hand.
Paul bets 1,000. Robert folds.
And Paul taking it down.
Good
with a
betting by
deuce
Paul.
three.
Got the 7s out.
Yeah, Paul thinking he's bluffing there, but he had the best hand on the river.
29, 68.
I kind of wanted to play more than 9 minutes.
Well, you know how you can do that next time?
I kind of
Not-
wanted to date Jennifer
Play better.
Aniston.
What's that?
I kind of wanted to date Jennifer Aniston, but you know, we can't all get what we want.
Let's see, Ed with an ace-8 suited. Max with 5.
Max with another pair.
75, 150 of blinds, guys. Call. He's gonna call it.
We might see Max being overly aggressive here.
Thank you, James.
Suited Dan calls with a king 9 offsuit.
Max calls.
He likes when you reach around.
You can tell by Max's body language he knows he screwed that up real bad.
Mark checks his option.
He's completely out of the game at this point. I think he was out of it last week too. The first few weeks he seemed to be on his game very well and very intent when playing the game, but lately it's just not been good for
All
him.
players check.
Mark with bottom pair. Suited Dan turns a straight.
Suited Dan getting there with a king 9 offsuit.
175 bet by suited Dan.
Just the piece of crap hand he likes to play out of
Call by
position.
Max.
Max getting stubborn again.
And a deuce on the river. No help.
A 5 on the river would have just made his
Max.
night.
725 bet by suited Dan.
Max can't think he's good here. I think he just called to catch a 5 and
If he did, he was stacking off.
Right.
Start from the top.
Oh, you did? That's all right, guys.
Max can get a little too stubborn sometimes.
Suited Dan to act first.
Well, I think anybody can after you lose some hands like he has, or lose a couple of games like he has. You definitely kind of get into a slump. And playing a tournament playing the same tournament over and over and over for points, you can kind of keep your slump, if mentally you let yourself stay there.
Uh-oh, we got a couple of big hands here.
Aces and jacks.
Suited Dan with pocket aces, Ed's with jacks.
Suited Dan raises to 550.
Now, if it was Rob with the aces, Ed could get away from the jacks
because he'd throw all his chips in and stand up.
I think the one thing that might help Ed here is being on the big blind. He has to act first. And
let's see what Ed does with jacks. Last week he just smooth called and ended up stacking off to Mark.
My two pair. That was supposed to happen tonight. I like to get chips early and then.
Well, yeah,
or
get rid of them real early.
Yeah,
too.
I know. That's why it's tournament.
Ed calls.
Ed just calls here.
Ed first to act.
But we get like a 10 high flop, and this could be over for.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this could be trouble.
1,200 bet by Suited Dan.
Let's see how strong Ed thinks his jacks are. You can't put Dan on a 2
Ed
or,
calls.
4 or a 9 or 4 here. A heart draw maybe.
Ed checks. Suited Dan all in.
I'm going to say Suited Dan.
Really?
Suited Dan just showed way too much strength with that.
Ed with a great fold.
Wow.
I think Suited thought he might be on a flush draw, and he just wanted to get him off of it.
Can't do that in the shoe, can you?
That's where I got it from.
Bobby B million to act first.
I was trying to get you to touch my stack, and not the one on the table.
Bobby with a 9 jack suited here, letting it go.
That's the kind of hand Bobby will raise, but he needs to be in position to raise it.
475 bet by Robert.
That's why we had this joke. I said that. And then he put number 1-8.
Robert, not afraid to bet with any ace.
Folds around. First to act is Paul Moskowitz.
Golf ball Paul with a queen 8 of clubs.
Max with 10s.
450 bet by Max.
Thought you might just see Max just shove him in there. So sick of losing.
Wait, he didn't make one? He made that?
They got hit by a long and then it just flew out. Yeah, he said, and he was really young. He said, and he actually rolled it back. But the wax obviously came off. But it's about 3 back and forth. I mean, he's older now, but
Paul explaining the story of the golf ball.
She looks at him. She's like,
How smooth is the ball? I was gonna say, if you let Ed play around, he could probably make it like
jack on the board and everything else like that.
I have some tree box.
We better just check this out. We're just gonna check this down because you've already lost. I was just like,
Mark with ace king.
he's just like so ready.
Suited Dan with ace
Or
king.
maybe we just had a pair and just never folded. Because that's how the shoe is.
Watch these two split apart again.
And then I'm like, I don't even have to do it. I go, okay, I'll check down with you.
Mark raises to 425.
See what Dan does here with ace king. And raise in front of him.
I got a story.
Dan calls 425.
Just calls.
Heads up, guys. Come on, Mark. Do me again.
Diamond or spade flop.
And this will be a chopped pot unless somebody takes the action. That's
850 bet by suited Dan.
Mark's
Position
gonna,
is-
yeah, Mark's gonna let it go.
Position's supposed to win that hand.
See, that's where a continuation bet by Mark might have won that pot.
Bet moves, max stack first.
So like the 2 wide there, 22 over this one I kissed it, and then I went to lunch because I was embarrassed. Wait, made me check that. I'm like, I'm going lunch break.
Go call my mother.
Paul with an ace-4, Max with a 10-8 suited.
Ed with a dead pair of sixes.
Rob with ace-9. He seems to really like that hand.
It's got an ace in it, of course he does.
I have to table change.
350 bet by Ed Wurgler.
Ed makes a small raise with his sixes.
Robert calls.
I get in a hand with her.
And Rob was calling, I think, no matter what anybody
I
bet.
had queen 10. Board comes queen 10.
And
6.
flops nothing. Queen, queen, 7.
Chips in there, and I'm like, I'm all in.
Ed bets 500.
Pair, right? Top 3 pairs.
Robert folds.
Snap calls me. Pocket queen.
I like that bet there
I'm
by
like,
Ed.
oh, that is so sick. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm gonna sit here draw dead.
Corey to
No,
act first.
there's pocket queens. I'm like,
Just small enough where you can get rid of it
so
without it hurting you too much.
I don't think anybody sold me that.
Oh, our fan is calling in. We should take phone calls.
All right, we got
Chris, you can give out your phone number.
Jacks.
Corey with pocket jacks.
suited Dan with ace-jack, so we're absolutely going to see a flop.
Corey raises to 500.
If anyone would like to call the
And
show,
450.
the number is 330-969-WARD. That's 330-969-9273. Feel free to give us a call and let us know how you feel.
Suited Dan calls 350 or 450.
Max with 7-8 suited.
Jesus, Max. What are you saying? Did your mother know you talk like that?
The last time you said you didn't know what I didn't know what you're talking about.
Heads up. Sorry, I've been watching Facebook.
Yeah.
That's a good show.
King out there might scare Corey.
I think Corey, he's looking at his chips. That's usually an indication you're going to bet.
No, it's really good. You gotta stay with it.
700 bet by Corey Mikesell.
Suited Dan lets it go.
Suited folds ace jack. Face up.
She's got money. She's like, you alright today? You're not throwing chips around? That's 'cause the other
Mark
guy was
Dak
saying,
first.
I thought you were going to kick me out. I was like,
6 minutes, 30 seconds left in the blinds. Blinds are 75, 150.
It's cool. Yeah. She was looking
No,
at me.
I bet you said your name was
She was looking at me like,
I thought your name was Adam.
no. Oh, I see what you did there.
Do you, Bob?
No, I learned always now.
Oh, I had to say it 3 times. That's how you hold out an apple, like you ready to make a mistake.
Mark calls 150.
Mark with a 7-8 suited just
Not much of anything going on in this hand.
No.
I heard she's already got like 3 people kicked out for
Usually comes down to the first person willing to take a stab at the pot.
Max calls 150. Corey checks his option.
They're freaking predators. She's prey, they're predators. Like every table she goes to, there's just like some dude that's just like, I don't know, like drooling all over the
400.
9 on the flop. Corey.
300 bet by Mark. Takes it down.
Or maybe good for it.
No, she, from the store I had her, she was. She was trying to get away from whoever she was. You can just ask anybody to poker. I'll tell you.
She moved to Cleveland to get away from it.
Ed Wigler to act first.
Kept calling her and stalking her on Facebook.
I don't even know. Don't even know who she is.
That's what she said.
She said she doesn't know you either.
That's what the police report said. That was our agreement.
Her only description in
Saved
the
it.
police report, well, he folds like 89% of the time. And he checks the other 11% because he's big blind.
Max with a 6 suited.
Suited Dan calls 150.
What should I do? Probably.
If you're looking cards like that, I would assume you would have to fold.
No, you're not the dealer. You don't get to assume shit. Right?
Max calls 150.
Assume your position.
Max on the button with an ace.
I assume you have a ride home.
Oh! Fuck, bro.
Sorry, right into that.
Ah! Eat a dick.
3-way to the flop.
Lord, I got friends in the ladies.
Suited Dan thought he got shot.
All players check.
And hits it again.
He's hitting hands tonight.
325
He's had
bet
a
by
couple
Suited Dan.
that he's kind of caught himself in.
Mm-hmm. Nobody can call him here though.
Everybody folds.
The other ball guy, big
Marco's still back there?
Yep.
Is he really?
Can you climb out the window or something?
I mean, you're in Falcons? He's not Falcons, he's not back there.
Tell him I slinked out the window out of
That's what I said.
humiliation.
Come on, he's back.
No, really?
Mitt Romney.
Not too much going on here either. Suited Dan with the 10 jack.
Suited Dan raises to 450.
You can't act like that like you're pulled up. It might be figured
I
out.
can do whatever I want.
No, you can't. Floor.
Oh, those other people that are still after me to act are going to see me act like I'm going to fold before they even decide what to do.
We got it more. Yes, sir.
See all that? Fox?
Suited Dan takes it down.
And everything was wrong.
I had a lady do that to me this morning in the tournament. Somebody folded.
Dan been pretty aggressive now.
He's put his money in a lot of times with the best hands, from what I've noticed, which isn't necessarily the worst thing.
Not bad, but I had a small bear. She drank 7. So 75, 150. But she wouldn't call that person not. She lifted her cards up to the muck. It was a 3-4 flop. That's what it was.
All right, we got a couple of ace kings here again. Paul and Max.
If nothing flops, that means Max should win.
And Suited Dan with an ace 6.
Rob with some pocket pair 9.
Raised to
Oh,
350
I
by
didn't see
Paul
that.
Moskowitz.
Yeah.
Raised to 1200 by Robert.
You might see Max shove here.
I think it's a good spot for Max to shove. 2 raises in front of him with ace king in tournament play.
And he folds. Which normally I wouldn't advocate doing that here, but with Paul having the ace king, it turns out to be a pretty good fold. I don't think Paul's going to make his fold, yeah. Counting out chips. Makes
Paul
it call.
calls 1200.
And an 8-high board.
2000 bet by Robert. Paul folds.
Rob just motions forward.
And
they bet and folded at the same time.
And trained in the river out there and would have hit an ace on the river. So Max would have doubled up, I think, if he'd have shoved there.
Moskowitz to act first.
And then you just start a parade of fold before you even say this amount. That drives me crazy.
Mark making a good point there. When you're in the hand, if somebody announces raise, you should always wait for them to announce the amount. Because if you start a parade of folds, like he said there, then the person can raise a lot less.
Right.
A lot of inexperienced players, as soon as somebody says fold, they
Mark
just
and Ed call.
throw it in.
As they say, raise.
Suited Dan calls. Bobby in the big blind. Also,
Ed flops 2 pair. Mark flops an open-ended straight.
4 1/4.
Mark bets
Bobby
425.
flops top pair with no kicker. I don't think he's gonna. See what Ed does with 2 pair here.
12.
He raises to 12.
I think Bobby's going to be very content folding deep into the money today.
Yeah. Mark makes a call with the open-ended straight draw and nothing on the turn.
Mark checks.
27.
All in for Ed Wergler. Mark folds.
Ed goes all in. Mark folds.
Blinds are 100, 200, 16 minutes, 45 seconds left in the blinds.
Mark not having very much luck tonight.
It's not as fun for you guys without me in there to commentate again.
Well, I wouldn't say it's fun. It's a little different when you're in the game.
Oh,
that's
come
for sure.
on. Like I said, if it's not first or second for me, it really doesn't matter.
Exactly.
9th or 4th.
Right.
So I thought I had the best hand, and I moved on it. And
well, that's nothing wrong with that. I'm still just amazed it took Max that long.
I know. I mean, I really thought he was folding. Usually when people do lift their hands up that high, I'm like, oh, he's got
That's what I said. When he's flashing his cards like that, that's usually a sure sign that they're wanting somebody to see the big laydown they're making.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I talked him into calling. I should have maybe just shut up. He's got to call anyway.
No, I don't. Like I said, I'd have beat you in the pot with that hand.
No, because I put 103. So you made it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else he was wanting to flop.
Right.
When you
with
call,
that.
yeah, when you call pre-flop raises with that hand.
I had a set.
Bobby lying about his hand.
I had a set.
Verification of Bobby.
Watch the tape, Bobby. Watch the tape. Watch the tape.
2 pair, man.
And Bobby lying, saying, no, I was lying about this set. I had 2 pair. Lying about that.
I never saw him.
Yeah. He's like lost that he had a set or something.
First act will be
He's
Max.
never played live before.
That's awesome. I want to watch that. He plays for so much money, but then live.
Yeah,
Rob with ace 4, Mark with a queen jack suited, Ed with ace 9. This is the kind of hand you usually see Mark raise, but
Mark calls 200.
I believe he's going to allow Robert in with the ace 4 here.
Well, he's getting short stacked.
Moskowitz calls.
3 players.
I think he doesn't
Robert
wanna
checks his option.
risk too much right now.
Marco's still in the booth. Marco's the only player I fear.
And he flops top pair.
Because he'll put a hammer down.
Mark bets 325.
Yeah, he might get a call from Rob here. Rob really
Robert calls.
hates to fold.
Robert checks.
And Mark's got a gut shot straight
Both players
now.
check.
And with a deuce on the river, Mark is the best with the jack.
1100 bet by Robert.
And Rob throws a bluff out there with 4th pair, and Mark thinks about it and makes a call.
I think today we're going to call 4th pair a semi-bluff.
Well, I'm not sure if Rob thought that was a semi-bluff.
Wait, you can bluff in this game?
Marco,
Action
that's
on
what
Corey.
you call playing poker.
He don't quite think on the same level as Rob sometimes, so I'm not sure if he thought he had the best hand or thought he was going to try and bluff him off there.
I definitely think with a check, I believe, on the turn, it's not a bad spot for Robert to bet. If Mark doesn't have the jack, Robert does have a pretty decent chance of winning.
Raised to 600 by Suited Dan.
Suited raising the jack 8 of spades, and we'll probably take it down. No, with Rob's stack, it's absolutely worth a shot at it once Mark checks the turn.
Mark tacked first.
I'm not sure exactly why Mark checked the turn there, but Ed with ace kings,
lots of
suited
hands.
Dan with king queen, Paul with king 10 suited.
550 bet by Ed Wergler.
Ed makes it 550 with the ace king. Suited Dan has a king queen. This is a hand I hate.
Suited Dan calls.
Lost a very big pot yesterday evening with a queen king against a queen jack.
Heads up.
Heads up to the flop.
First act will be Ed.
Snap shot. Head first, heads up.
See what Ed does here. Last time somebody in a situation like this checked it to Dan, he took it away.
700 bet by Ed Wergler. Suited Dan folds.
I like the bet by Ed there.
Ed to act first. 10 minutes, 24 seconds left in the blinds.
Don't give anybody a chance to bluff you off your hand and lead out.
He was a pre-flop raiser, made sense.
Oh,
Ed with jacks.
Corey with ace 9. I don't think he'll get too invested in this hand.
Max with 10-7 suited. That's a hand he sometimes likes to play, I think.
550 bet by Ed Wergler.
No.
I really like that fold by Corey there without even thinking about it.
Man. First hand you had today.
Corey's approach has done him well so far. He just doesn't get himself involved in unnecessary hands this early.
And that's a hand there that when you're calling raises with ace 9,
he wants to save as much of his stack as he can and feels no need to gamble.
You know, you call a raise with an ace 9 and the ace flops and they keep betting. What do you do?
Suited Dan act first.
Suited Dan's picking up 10 jack all over the place every
Raise
hand.
700.
And he raises it.
Raised to 700 by Suited Dan.
That should take it down, I think.
He could have pocket jacks.
Well, Ed's got ace 3. I think that'll let this go.
Flop quads and lose. Somehow he jacks were like the curse.
Button moves, Bobby Dack first.
You probably thought that way too. That's what happened.
They kept playing.
Was it positive yesterday? 5 for 5.
Especially every time I got pocket aces or kings, I felt more and more positive.
That's why I had with Max. I think I had 15 times.
15?
And I
Definitely
had
want to be positive
twice
with
over
ace jack.
I mean, when I was winning a couple of races and then they were starting to go my way, I'm like, okay, this is what it is.
Paul Moskowitz talking about thinking positive?
It feels good. And even when I had kept my losses.
Paul talking about races, actually, which he's not involved in very often.
Raised to 600 by,
Right
by
before that, he said he was,
Max.
he got aces and kings a couple times and was thinking he wasn't going to lose. And then won a few races, and that helped more. So.
Max takes it down.
Paul's poker play is a lot like the tortoise in the hare.
Cash game. I was so pissed off.
From 1:30 to about 11.
He actually won a pretty big tournament last night, the Medina Poker League. They get 50 people out there almost every week, and quite a few good card players.
Do you play there, Paul?
No, I don't.
Okay, I was going to say.
You have, though.
I have before, yes. I don't now.
That's the Medina Poker League from meetup.com. Speaking of .coms, www.chasethebracelet.com if you guys want to check us out throughout the week. Watch replays, keep up with points. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/chasethebracelet. But if you're watching us now, I hope you already know these things. Tell your friends.
Corey raises 600.
Heads up.
Corey calls with an ace-10 after Max raises.
That's it.
Max raised with 9-10 off. Is Bobby in the hand?
Looks like
he is not.
His cards are still showing live.
I mean, I know it's a state law.
Max flops the bottom pair.
There we go.
Max bets 600.
Corey with a gut shot.
All it does is tells the cops when they should wait for when the bar party.
Let's see how soon Corey opens up today.
Corey folds.
Corey, very methodical.
Robert tagged first. 5 minutes, 38 seconds left in the blinds.
Small, big guys. Bob, small.
What about the a-holes that are going to be all wasted in the limo?
Throwing up.
Messing with the limo driver.
Yeah, looking limo driver too.
Oh yeah, that would be real good. Take home.
Ed with jacks again.
Not limo driver. You should probably just sell rookies in there too.
Bobby with a 4-5 suited. Mark with 3-4 suited.
Mark calls 200. Ed calls 200.
Ed just calls with jacks.
Okay.
Bobby checks or calls. I'm sorry.
He's letting way too many hands in this pot.
Moskowitz checked his option.
About 3-2.
But he has the best hand by far now.
All players check.
Paul, the only one with a
All
chance
players
at
check.
winning this. Mark with the flop the 3 there. Let's see if he bets it.
Watch it. 5 high. Nuts.
King high.
Jacks.
Looks like Ed shows the jacks after a check.
Similar hand. 4-5. I want to show there's another way to run jacks.
I think Ed might be getting a little gun shy.
I really felt like I was getting trapped right there. I was gonna bet like I was gonna bet on the flop guy and on the turn. I was like,
And Mark, when he finds out what Ed had, is just shocked the way the hand went down.
He's shaking his head.
I didn't hear. You said king
I
high.
had king high, and
And then
he
you
flips
said,
over.
oh, you said, I said, I didn't plural.
Yes.
And then he showed him.
Max tags first.
Focused.
Corey with a king queen. Mark with an ace rag. Let's see what Corey does here with the king queen early position. Loosening up a little bit.
Corey makes 600.
Raised to 600 by Corey.
I think that might take it down with a raise from Corey.
Well, they have to give the kid some credit.
Oh, exactly.
He typically doesn't come in till after the break to play hands, so when he opens up this early, they should definitely figure him for a big hand. He's played 6 games with the continuous strategy of just waiting. Typically waits till other people get involved in a hand and picks his spots, and a lot of time makes the correct plays to steal pots even. Very impressed with Corey's play.
I am too. He just hasn't had great results with it.
They turn your chair upside down.
You sit on that tree.
Or that train.
2 minutes, 10 seconds left in the blind.
Mark with King Jack, Ed with an Ace-7 suited, Dan with King Jack, Bobby with 10
Bobby
Jack.
with a 10 Jack suited.
Mark raises to 525.
I think this is about the 3rd, 4th time that Mark's raised and suited Dan's had the same hand.
Like to
Suited Dan
see
calls.
Paul or Bobby come in with their suited connectors here.
Bobby all in.
Bobby ships it with his 10 Jack.
Great play by Bobby.
35, 36.
Yeah, I don't see how Mark can make the call. I just don't see it. How short is Mark?
36.
Now, Dan would not surprise me with a call here. I will say that.
Suited Dan would insta-call if he knew what Bobby had here.
Oh, yeah. So would Mark. So would Mark, but I still would not be surprised.
1 minute left in the blinds.
It's definitely it makes your Jack King look a lot harder when the point leader of the tournament decides he's going to shovel in.
Do you think that's what's going through his mind, that Bobby did that just because it was Mark and Dan?
Absolutely.
Right?
I think that's what's taken so long.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I actually think about some of those things.
Absolutely.
Dan questioning how much more it is to call. Definitely contemplating the call here.
3,075 for suited Dan to call.
Because he knows Bobby's very capable of doing this.
How much of Dan's stack is it if he calls?
Definitely thinks Bobby's full of shit.
Little under half.
That's a big percentage if you're wrong.
Calls.
Suited Dan calls.
Suited Dan calls with a king
And Bobby's
jack.
not happy.
Wow. Good call, Dan. You put it together.
I told you I would not be surprised if Dan called.
He put it together. Which is tough because Bobby could have ace, you know.
Yeah, he could have a lot.
Everyone standing up. Still 5 cards to go here.
I think it's break time.
It is that too. King Queen on the flop.
Open-ended straight.
Ace or a 9.
Ace or 9 here for Bobby.
Drum roll.
Nope.
And Bobby's out.
Bobby's eliminated in 8th place.
And we're on break.
Bobby.
Well, I enjoyed chatting with you guys.
You too.